Welcome back. I am Randy the War Duck, and this is the day after talking Duck sports. And we had one basketball game, one football game, and for the men, the women did play. The women won. The women play again. Let's see. Actually, I think they play tonight, Sunday. Yeah, I think they play Army, a game unbeaten. So, fortunately, you have to have Big Ten Plus to watch that, so we'll have to listen to that one. But let's talk about the basketball game. The Ducks are 3-0. Sorry, I'm a little allergic here. But the Ducks are 3-0 and they beat South Dakota State. But man, the Ducks just are not very good right now. They're okay. Um, they can stay in games, but man, they're shooting. This is their best game so far by far. But they shot 45.2% from the field, 37.5 from 3, and 75% from the free throw line, which is all better numbers than they had before. But to get to that, they went 15 of 40 from the 3 line and shot 43 pointers. And if you're an Oregon fan and you've been watching Dana Altman teams for the last 10 years or so, you know that is definitely not Oregon's game right there. I believe that's an Oregon record, 43s. Um, and yeah, that's definitely not the way Dana wants to play. But on the other side of that is you have Oregon holding teams right now to 64 points a game. So right now, with the way Oregon's playing defense, they're able to maintain and win when they're not shooting well, simply because they're doing, they're holding teams down. The game is super slow right now. It's a lot of half court, but that's kind of the way Oregon's built right now with big old Nate Biddle down there. So let's take a look at these. Uh, so Nate has 14 points. Simpkins has 20. Shellstad has 22. And then you got Lindsay getting in there. He had 8. Evans Jr. had 5. Stewart 6. And um, I'm not even going to pronounce this guy's name. Kobzinski or something. He had 3 points. But that means they're spreading the ball around. And they're getting more to what Dana wants, but they are nowhere near close. And if I remember right, they got some tough games coming up. Like Monday, they got Oregon State, and then right after that, they play Auburn and then San Diego State. Those are going to be 3 very tough games before they go on the road, and then things get really, really tough with USC, UCLA. But Dana has them going in the right direction. Waylon finally scored. He's got 2 points on there, but he needs to get on track. They really need Waylon to get on track and to find himself in the college game. I know he's still adjusting. It'll come. I don't know if you remember when Jackson Shellstad started. His first few games there were kind of a struggle, and I think at like game 6 or 7, like he finally got it going. So basketball is doing okay. They're an interesting team to watch right now, but they significantly dropped that turnover. They were somewhere around 20 the last few games. They got that down to 9. That's a drastic improvement, and you can see how Shellstad was so important to settle these teams down. So, all right, now we are going to talk about the football game. So, Oregon has visiting Minnesota, which is supposed to have a pretty good defense, but Oregon came in and there was no rain this time, and Oregon did whatever Oregon wanted to do. There was really no stopping them for Minnesota in this game. Oregon started fast, they continued on, and then they pulled Dante in the fourth quarter. Dante sets a record for an Oregon record. He set an Oregon record with no, because there's no rain, they can actually pass the ball. He was 90%, and I think he was like 27 for 30 on his passes or something like that. Something insane, but we'll take a look at that here in a minute. But there was a little bit of a shuffle because Alabama lost to Oklahoma. So this is the new projected seedings, and Oregon goes from this 8-9 section over here, and they flip sides, and now they're thinking that they're number 7, and Alabama will be number 10, but the playoff committee has not liked Oregon in this lately, so don't be surprised if you see Notre Dame or someone else jump Oregon and Oregon stays over here in this 8 and 9. For some reason, they really, really, really want Oregon to play Ohio State, is kind of what it looks like. But I'm hoping Oregon gets down here into this 6th slot where Ole Miss is. But I don't know. But so here's the thing is, they keep talking about Oregon barely winning games and Oregon having to come from behind and Oregon's not scoring on Wisconsin and Iowa in a complete downpour and complete horrible conditions at an away stadium. And then you got, Indiana barely surviving, Penn State at Penn State. There's no rain there, but we're not going to talk about that, which is fine. But now you got Texas A&M having to come from 30 points down at the half to beat a South Carolina team that's under 500, if I remember right. But we won't talk about that, right? Because that's the SEC, and for some reason they just have it out for Oregon. But I don't know that Oregon can get down any farther unless you have Texas beating Texas A&M at the end of the year. That's the only way there's going to be a shuffle, and I don't really see that happening. But it is a possibility. So I think Oregon's going to stay in here. I think they'll be on the Indiana side of the bracket. I'm not sure who number 10 will be, if that'll be Alabama or whoever. But we'll see going forward. So, with that now, we can talk about the game. So, at one point in this game, Oregon had more first downs than Minnesota had plays. And Oregon just completely dominated for most of this game, except for one drive that Minnesota made, got down there and scored a touchdown, which brings me to another point here is Oregon defense on short yardage is absolutely horrible. Absolutely atrocious. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a player. I don't know how to frame that there. I don't know if that's the players that Oregon has, their body's size isn't built for that, or it's a coaching thing. I don't know what it is. All I know is Oregon on short yardage absolutely sucks. So if it's a 4th and 1 for a game or a 3rd and 1 for a game, Oregon's not going to stop anybody on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. They're just not gonna. Oregon has been stopping you before you get to the red zone or you score. That has been Oregon's season this year. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's player side. Well, okay, so the short yardage, I think, is definitely where it could be either or. But the defense in the red zone, that has to be coaching. That there's no other way around it. That's either coaching or play calling or both. I don't know what it is, but Oregon really really, really needs to fix it. I mean, they twice held Minnesota to field goals, but still, it's 100%. You get in Oregon's red zone and you're automatically scoring. So that's that. But Oregon has not been good stopping people from getting out of the end zone, keeping them out of the end zone inside the 20. I think I saw a stat. It was like 16 of 22 or something like that. Not great. Not great. But, all right, back to this game. So, Oregon has 27 first downs, Minnesota's 13. Third down efficiency, Oregon was 6 of 9. Minnesota was 7 of 16. Fourth down, they were 1 and 1. Rushing yards, 179 rushing yards to Minnesota's 62. They held Minnesota to 200 yards total offense. And I think somewhere around the first half, might have been right at the end of the first half, Minnesota was at single-digit rushing yards. So Oregon played the rush really well. They really frustrated. They really played a lot better. And maybe that was the rain that they, had trouble stopping teams. I don't know. But Oregon came out and did what Oregon had to do and completely dominated Minnesota and took away what Minnesota wanted to do, was run the ball. Oregon has 331 passing yards to 138 yards per game, 510. Oregon gets 2 sacks and gives up 1 sack. That was very early in the game. After that, they adjusted and no more sacks. Oregon punted twice. Minnesota punted 6 times. Oregon had 4 penalties. 2 of those were personal pass interference penalties on the same drive. And Minnesota had 5. Oregon gets the fumble. I guess there was 2 fumbles, but Oregon gets 1. And then time of possession. I mean, that's crazy. That yardage difference, first down difference, and you still lose the time of possession. That's absolutely crazy. All right, so let's take a look at Dante's record-setting day. He has 27 of 30 completions, 306 yards, 2 TDs, 1 sack. That's a pretty good line for him. So, Noah Whittington had a fantastic run, and so did Davison. Both of them had really, really great breakaway runs. Noah Whittington was kind of bottled up there in the... It looked like the announcer was like, oh, he's got 3 yards. And then all of a sudden he was still going. And then both teams were like in a big scrum, and then all of a sudden Noah Whittington's gone. Fumbles the ball at the line, showboating, and then picks it up just a second, just long enough to get the score, and then drops the ball again. That was very close. They did review it. That could have definitely gone either way. You couldn't have been mad if they had called it a touchback, but in the end they called it a touchdown, so that's what we're going with. All right, Davidson had a big 57-yarder. I don't even think he was... Oh, yeah, he was pushing people around to get there, but fantastic running. 8 for 72 yards and 7 for 57 yards. If you look at this yards attempt, Noah Whittington, 9 yards attempt, 8.1 yards attempt, 3.7, 4.8, and then Dante 1.5. He had a nice long 13-yard run in there, and then Brock Thomas had 3 yards. So if your running backs are averaging 3.5 yards or higher a carry, you're getting a first down every time. I mean, that's just the statistics of it, right? Very good rushing game for Oregon today, and an even better passing game. Kenyon Sadiq comes back, has 8 receptions, 96 yards. He almost had that score, and they ruled that the helmet is part of the body, so he was down even though his knees and arms didn't touch. fantastic effort to get in the end zone, even if they didn't count it. And then right after that, they got it to him in the corner of the end zone to get him that touchdown anyway, because he absolutely earned it. The other tight end, Johnson, has 4 receptions, 57 yards, 24 long. He has been a fantastic backup for Sadiq. And he's young, and I'm excited to see what he turns into, because I think he's just going to model into a Sadiq-like player. He's been very, very dependable, especially when Sadiq's been out. All right, you got Malik Benson that's been doing a great last 2 games. 2 receptions, 51 yards, long of 38. He was targeted twice. McClellan's been doing really awesome. 3 receptions for 36 yards, long of 15. Let's see. Another tight end. Sayapaga? No, I butchered that name. 2 receptions. Justice Lowe had 2 receptions for 22 yards. Then you get into the running backs. Hill got 3 receptions for 22. Davison 2 for 19, and Noah Whittington 2 for 10. So overall, a very, very good passing day for our quarterbacks. The only 3 passes that weren't caught. That's pretty good on attempts. So overall, Oregon's game against Minnesota went really well. And there's not a lot I don't think you can draw from Minnesota. Minnesota, they're always bowl eligible. They're always one of those middle tier Big Ten teams. They are a team that can beat you if you're not firing on all cylinders, but that's not what happened today. Oregon gets back on track like you knew their offense would when it was a nice clear day. So going forward, if Oregon gets into the playoffs, Oregon needs to play in a dome or somewhere that does not have weather where their offense can thrive. So next up, we have USC coming to Oregon. That game is at 12:30 Pacific time, 1:30 Arizona time, and and what's that? 3:30 Eastern time. USC number 17 comes to Oregon, and somehow Oregon right now is a 12-point favorite. So the pundits seem to think that Oregon is just gonna, I don't want to say run away with this game, but that Oregon will just handle this game at home. Hopefully the weather's good, and we'll see. USC struggled with Iowa. They had to come from behind to beat Iowa, scored the last 9 points to beat Iowa. So, there's that. Next week, USC, big time game, 12:30 Pacific time. We'll see you there. But with that, we're out of here today. Much love all. We'll catch you next time.